I think the padding for the break is too much, so let's make it 30 instead of 40. Let's make it 30, and let's come here, let's refresh. Good. So all we'll do is we are just going to copy and paste this and then change the text. So let's call this car, and let's change this to car. If we refresh, there you go. Now we're almost getting there. Copy this again, paste, change this to, let's say, I think there is taxi, so taxi. Let's change the wording to taxi. Save. Let's copy it again. I think I already have it copied, so let me just keep changing. Sorry. After the taxi, we have shop. Let's change this to shop. Okay. Um, call this credit. And let's change this to credit. And then let's come here. Let's change this from credit to deliver. Let's call this deliver. I don't know. I'm supposed to have 8 items displayed, so let's refresh and see. We are left with 2 more. Okay, 2 more. So there you go. We have one. All right. So let me see. What do we have? We have credit, delivery, bike, car, food. Let's change that to food. Food. And the last one, the very last one. This is going to be what? Let me see. Recharge. Let's call this recharge. So now if I refresh, there you go, we have these items being displayed. But then you realize that in this particular section, when we scroll, there are certain effects that take shape. And I think the font size for the title too is way too big, so I'll change it. So title, let's say 2.5. That should do. Good. Still back on the the transition effect. So we want, when we scroll in, something of this nature shall happen. So what we are going to do is this: we are going to set the transition for this, and then afterwards we'll set the transition for each and every one of them. So that is going to be pretty simple. So here we'll say we are targeting this title, which is inside this list items. So same over here, list items, and then title. We'll set the opacity as 0, and we'll set the the translate x as let's say minus 30%. Sorry. Let me uncomment this for now, and let's refresh this and let's see. Okay, sorry, I meant here. Let's refresh. Great. So you see the translate x is taking shape. I've uncommented the opacity, so let me put it back on. And then what we'll do is we'll say show. We are going to create a CSS animation for show and hide. So now we'll say list items dot title dot show, and this is going to take animation name of show and duration of 1 second, and then the fill mode is going to be forward, and we are going to call the keyframe on this as show, and at 0%, we want the opacity to remain 0, and then the translate x to remain still minus 30%. We copy and paste this, and then at 100%, we want the opacity to remain to change to 1, and the translate x to change to 0%. So this is for sure. We are going to copy the entire of this and change the name to hide. So let's change this to hide. Sorry, not shide. Really? Hide. Good. And then we also name this as hide. And over here, let's define the keyframe. So let me copy this again. Let me copy this. Let's copy this. Let me put it to hide. And this time around we want to do the reverse. So the reverse is going to be at 0%. The opacity is supposed to remain at 1, and the translate x is supposed to remain at 0, and then at 100% the opacity is supposed to change to 0, and then the translator is supposed to go to minus 30. So we have this. So realize that now currently nothing is showing. If I refresh, the title is gone. If I come here and then I add show. I add show, for instance, and I refresh, it comes in, right? Good. But what we want to do is we want to use JavaScript to manipulate the DOM so that when we scroll to a certain length, it's supposed to trigger something. So for instance, if we scroll past the height of the top banner, if we scroll past half of the height of the top banner, or let's say 70% of the height of the top banner, the CSS transition is supposed to take effect. So what we'll do is we are going to define, not necessarily define, but we're just going to include our script tag, script, and I'm going to define this JavaScript down here. I'm going to call it script.js. The reason why I'm not putting it inside this particular folder is because I've already defined script for the actual work, which is this one, this work that I've already worked on. So since we are developing from scratch,